to what's going on in Diepsloot right now.
We want action. I remember the 2016 whenever so, how's my action? I learned to work if you return your number of action. Up and down, up and down. Up and down you. So, commanders, Yaka simple. Arriba Benchan Sabatsamai. Bassalang Bassal. Lux number plate that a man can make a thing. I also went to a mutuar. Regularly. Lavakato number plate. I guess so went to Kirovalambo. It's so important. Give it a corner, scanner in the reta, up and down the Garata, which is against that. Rikota Makaupe. When you meet a policeman or policewoman, you must appreciate them. What do you say? But what Barona about Mamam Sebeti? Grazivan al Matatar Nano. Raziva Lubona Bano, when I want to Bajanao, Payakabaruna Bajanao. Raziva Rebaitibe, Sabanka 20 Rantaco track killing, Babula Albanavona. So Harlan Antoy. Arluane against Bon, Arluane la Lebon. Then on Toy to Repelwana. And Repelwana Swan, what a depend on what Barbalansa. Ababa Vatakal Raturnal Rato. Lasava Kinchahaga. That's how Sapaka. Marauta Karituna, little Tipali in Yaskanar Nato. More than Ternal Bonhonovar Torzinzo. Lock and tap on top of a city Marker Macriza. What's the watermelon say? So, commanders, Kitoko Baka Pelori. Resplite, Agilan Kuka, Sabetan Kuka. Kitoko Rubalan High. Harwana High. Limapori Sarva by Israel, Catalatalang High. Samaya. Agirli Minister. Minister trust the media, not the people. Or in the letter, to Minister alone. So, Minister Honorable Media. So that majority consent in the Princeton. Don't get our Diepsloot to call up back to Diepsloot. Don't worry about you. Commander's money. Commander's money. Your minister. Your minister addresses media. And I can minister learn a record. Like what's Baro. Good to the Linta President. Here they are vigilantes. Here they are what? Again. Let me tell you. Lena Telemutaro. Lena Kentataro. Nagar Milimo. And respect. There is no revolution that is led by old people. So you must excuse them. And there are excuse a Kalra to Timatbaru. And Tabani sent any little Prince Teneba, Babatuba, Cuban Sikaba, Bamixadi, the champagne, the wine. Balibetor Mo, Repilima Hotomodin too. So Ariwama Tataro Nadi Retex, Matata Mahoto. But no, these people are hooligans, eh? They're barbaric, they're vigilantes. But went to what I say. Give us Barona, Arbauto Limbuko, Rebata say. Mara, Arbauto Soko. We are going to work with them. The same way when they were young. They worked with their old and young people to defeat Maburu. Ireland seated apartheid government, Kibuil, Ricasto Palaki Chavasaran to the government. Now, the tribe was the wailing curtain because nothing at all, because I know also it. I know Rona, the politician, the Philamori. No, we want to, but what's on country? At Samalbona. Politician, no, I don't know what's by. And then come with the South Africans are very tolerant people. okay. But you know, look at little chifteling because I little chift little mala. So we are saying, okay, Kuala, but we are going to respect those people. We are going to make sure we disperse in peace and Tawa number. By Google media, what's the number? Number, I number, What professor more eNCA news, what was live, but you know, number, academically speaking, it's when people come together to cause violence. Rubbish. Number, number, so Mokasi right number. It doesn't matter where it's a mankati. And the number to action as a profile. So commanders money. Commanders Kirakita Mikey Robalamo. Commanders money. Commanders Akita Mikey Robalamo. Commanders money. Commanders Kirakita Mikey Robalamo. Commanders money. Commanders money.
Well, that's one of the leaders of Operation Dudula, Nhlanhla Lux, just addressing these hundreds of people, as I've asked my colleague, just to show you around the lessons here. But let's get back to it.
Mamelang. Minister Kele Arwabu Yaka Friday. Irregularly. Lanari, Utawaka 2016. Seretoi to Supio Maka. So, return my mail. Remove respect. The Robuile, Ubeti Ing. Are political. Return Hulukile Ralebu at Tamayan, the Pedisake. Have a better. How about Tama? Ngale Blela straight to number. So, message.
We love number.
So, what? Irregular Belle. So, what in Ali history? Anyani Fera command. So, what in Ali history? Ratiba 76 Tadile Quaker. Marso, what every revolution. It's not going to be the heartbeat of every revolution. You will find that in the making of history. Diepsloot is the home of the new revolution. And it's what all something. It's up to what Diepsloot or the Bible of the Bible. Who is the envelope? And I get away leadership Gilbella Neti. Until little but Alaxali one, little Alaxa move to 10,000. Likanen Batola Presako fellow Natalo Melava to Modicone. Nakale Bella. Navan choice in Neti Mokita Mayante. Let's can live lava to buy 2 by 3 Buane Mama. I was over the wireless tower because Tawasati was Baka. It's simple. So Friday. We are saying we'll wait. We will patiently wait for the Minister of Police to come to Diepsloot so that he can address us eloquently as ever and we take instructions from him. And there's nothing else. That's all. That's number. Commander's money.
That's one of the leaders of Operation Dudula addressing hundreds here just on the streets of Diepsloot, as of course they're saying that they'll be listening to the police and disperse, but of course there's that code that they keep mentioning, number. I'm going to try and drag Nhlanhla Lux down here, but it seems like the delegation is still continuing. Nhlanhla Lux, you're addressing these hundreds here, and of course you're saying that they must go home, but number. I'm guessing all the viewers want to know number, what it means.
No, they must Google it. When we struggle with English, no one helps us. Now this is Loxian language. They must Google it. And when they get it wrong, we'll come and explain to them, no, you are wrong. That's how we are treated when we speak English. No one corrects us. When black people speak English and we make mistakes, they laugh at us. They don't correct us. So they must Google number.
Okay, then what happens going
called number.
What happens going forward? Let's talk about these hundreds that have gathered here. We're seeing the police yellers around. What happens going forward? We heard the minister make those promises. 30 TRT members, POP members all around here. Yeah. 16 more vehicles.
No, look, they can bring the military. They can bring all the police force here. When the people speak, speak, the people must be listened to. It doesn't matter how much resources you are going to come with. Why are you bringing police here? Let me tell you, when ministers come to this place, they need bodyguards. You know why? They are liars. Yes. Why don't I have bodyguards? Because these people protect me. Try to do something now with my hands in my pocket. There's nothing you can do. Because the people know when you are lying to them, the people know they can resonate with what you are saying because it's honest and it's truthful. So we are not saying here, let's play games.
That the police reinforcement is something that these people have been calling for. They say they only have 6 vans.
No.
Hence, the minister is adding 16 more. So they're saying that that's for their own benefit.
Let's not mislead South Africa. Let's not mislead South Africa. The people of Diepsloot did not ask for the reinforcement of police that you are seeing here. The people of Diepsloot, the people of Diepsloot.
Let me bring you in. I want to understand what's going on.
Diepsloot is not leaderless. As much as Lux is sympathizing with what is happening in our community, the leaders, the leaders in this community.
Yeah, but Nhlanhla Lux seems to make a suggestion that you don't need these police reinforcement that the minister is coming with.
We had several meetings with our community. 7 people were killed during the weekend. As a leadership, we took a decision to stand up. We make sure, after that decision was taken, we say we are going to close down Diepsloot up until Begitele come down here. And we had demands. One of the demands was to say we want reinforcement of the police in this community. We want safety in this community. Home Affairs must come here and make sure those who are illegal in this community must vacate our community.
What do you make then of Nhlanhla's sentiments?
No. What we are trying to address, when we arrived here, Nhlanhla said, there's leadership here. There's protocol.
I said that.
It seems like it's jumping that protocol. Nhlanhla must respect the protocol. We are grieving as people of Diepsloot. Our brothers and sisters, we are not playing a game here. We are not playing a popularity game. These are the lives of our people of this community.
I'm going to give Nhlanhla to give some voice to what this gentleman is saying in terms of you overtaking the mandate of the leadership here.
He's not only a gentleman, he's leadership. He lives here, right? So when I got here, the first interview, I said, there's leadership in this community. I can't come and overtake and overtake the leadership of the community. When I was getting in my car, I was asked by the people of this community and the leadership
that leadership believes that you stepping your bounds and overstepping their role as leadership.
No. Whenever leadership speaks, you listen. Leadership speaks. If they feel that my presence is too much and the people, when I go left, I will rather go with them so that when they go left, I must be the left that they are taking. We're here to come together. We're not here to pragelana.
There's a point that he makes that he says we're not playing games and seeming to suggest that they have genuine issues on the ground and you here against those sentiments that you yourself spoke of vigilantism. How do you address that you're playing with the emotions of the people on the ground over their genuine issues?
No. He's not suggesting that I'm playing games. He's readdressing that we must take the spirit of what's going on and make sure we all respect it and make sure that we are all on the same page. It's important that we mustn't go left or right. These people are leadership. When you guys are going, the police want me now.
There's a police gentleman that's... What's happening, sir? Sorry, what's happening? Wanting to take Nhlanhla Lux. The police are saying they're trying to open the road. As there's a bit of commotion now, and we'll move back. Hundreds of people, of course, on the road, and the road itself is a bit congested and closed this very moment. While, of course, those conversations and those divisions quite apparent at the moment between Nhlanhla Lux and the leadership that we're seeing, some of these community leaders saying that they have genuine concerns. They don't want games to be played with their genuine concerns that they have. Even they're going out of their way to come and try and stop Nhlanhla Lux and his utterances, as you understand, of course, he speaks of a number, suggesting that there might be some tension that will still continue here.
All right, so Aviwe, I can see it's very busy where you are. And while you get to a point where we can continue chatting, I'm just going to recap what we've heard in the last 10 minutes or so. We heard Nhlanhla Lux, of course, is the leader of Operation Dudula, saying we want action. There's no liberation led by older people. South Africans are very tolerant, but we need to be respected. And Diepsloot, he said, is the home of the new revolution. It was very interesting, the conversation afterwards with a community leader who said actually Nhlanhla Lux Mohale is overstepping protocol. And we know there have been some very outspoken community leaders that you have spoken to throughout the day who have very clearly explained. It does seem that within the community of Diepsloot, there are some people who welcome the arrival of the Operation Dudula leader and others who are saying, no, this is what we're dealing with. I'm not sure if you can still hear me, Aviwe. Is this simply about getting a police car through the crowds? Are people listening and sort of going... can you hear us, Aviwe? All right, so I don't think Aviwe can hear us at the moment. We are on your picture, Aviwe. We can see that the crowd seem to have parted. Does seem that people are returning to different areas, which of course is what Nhlanhla Lux came and asked for. It's interesting, though, he did say he's here as a community member, that he has family in the area, but some people clearly see him as overstepping protocol in Diepsloot. Let's not forget that Diepsloot is a community that has been devastated by crime for a number of years now, and the police minister himself acknowledging that they've not done enough. They've tried, but they've not really done enough in the community of Diepsloot. And the people of Diepsloot are saying no. We are not going to accept broken promises any longer. We know, of course, that this evening the police minister has ordered a tactical response unit to come into this area. But as Aviwe was saying to me a little earlier, the big question is how long will they stay? Because unless it's a permanent deployment, surely crime levels will spiral out of control again. I'm just going to test to see if Aviwe is back up with us. Aviwe, can you hear me?
Sally, yes, I can hear you. We're seeing the police now trying to disperse this crowd. I can tell you any moment now, from previous experience, there should be rubber bullets and those stunt grenades going off. But the crowd itself is moving down the road. Yeah, the intention was to close off, I understand, it's the N6 further down the road. But of course, Sally, it's the N4, I beg your pardon. Of course, you heard those discussions between the local leadership of Diepsloot as well as Nhlanhla Lux, not quite seeing eye to eye, Sally, as you'd understand that they're saying that the local leadership pointing out that they're not playing games, and in fact they're here for genuine causes. Sally, I can see a stun grenade being policeman now, which I'm assuming will be sent off any moment. There is those shotguns with rubber.
All right, we've lost your sound momentarily. Let's go back. You can hear us. Okay, you say you're seeing stun grenades potentially about to be launched.
Stun grenades and shotguns in hand. A police Nyala now speeding down, coming from trying to open up the road. So we don't know what's going to happen.
And why would they be considering deploying these mechanisms, Aviwe, if you can still hear me? Because people are seemingly on the move. One wonders why the police has to consider being a little bit more heavy-handed. Is it that out of shot the road is actually being blocked and the police want the crowd to move off the road? Is that what's happening?
You're on the money, Sally, in terms of the road being blocked. In fact, that was why in that earlier altercation between the local leadership and Nhlanhla Lux, Nhlanhla was being pulled by the police. It suggested that they want to open up traffic. They want traffic to flow easily here. And, of course, they're now ensuring that that will happen. But it seems quite peaceful at this stage. No action really in terms of we seeing those stun grenades or those rubber bullets going off, but the police are just ushering them down the road now towards once more the Diepsloot police station where we initially were, Sally. But as as peaceful as it seems quite now, there were those utterances, even from Nhlanhla Lux, suggesting that while they officially want in the public gaze the crowd to disperse, he spoke of a number, which could have suggested that, of course, later on these protests might continue. But of course, that was affirmed by the local leadership, Nhlanhla being one of those that said that the protests will continue up until Friday. We're seeing the policemen now into the police Nyala in some sort of urgency. I'm not sure if then we'll see then more stringent measures in terms of just calling off this crowd here.
So Aviwe, while you're walking, I can tell you what we're seeing on our screen. We've got your shot of the policemen getting into the Nyala, but we also have another camera shot, which of course is moving around at the moment, but it was showing, I think, further down the road into a dip and quite a blockage, vehicles, police vehicles and of people. But while we watch what's happening on our screens, I'm just thinking of people who are traveling in the area. Could you give us any sense at this point which suburbs, which areas must be avoided by motorists, bearing in mind we are in peak rush hour in Johannesburg?
It is peak rush hour, and it's just this road in Diepsloot heading to the N3. That's the seems to be the congested road at the moment. The police actually going off this moment. Stun grenade any second now. Tear gas, rubber bullets any second. They're running away, and in fact, they have their hands up. They have their hands up. The community members, Sally, saying that they're peaceful. The police are asking them to go. They're asking them to move away. There's that stun grenade coming, and the tear gas then. Rubber bullets. I'm going to ask my colleague Nylanhla to come. The police are chasing them this very moment as they try to have more effective means in dispersing the crowd. They're shooting at them, but the rocks are being thrown towards the police.
Aviwe, I'm going to ask you to keep. I'm going to talk through the pictures. We still have your picture. You get to a place of safety. What we are seeing and hearing those stun grenades going off, please get to a point of safety. And as you say, the community were holding up their hands saying, we are not doing anything at all. But now the situation has got out of hand. The police have opted to open stun grenades on the crowd, and we can see that this is Aviwe and our camera person Teddy are clearly running to find a place of safety. Suddenly the situation has escalated, and our team is in the middle of it. We're going to keep live because we hope that you are getting to a place of safety. Aviwe, we don't expect you to talk. We are on your visuals. We can see that the police are very close to you and moving into those informal settlement areas.
But I blame you guys because I want sensation. Let's talk about it. No, really, guys.
Let's listen.
I don't want to fight today.
Actually getting a tongue lashing, Sally, this very moment from the police saying that we need to stay within their confines as those stun grenades continue to go off this very moment. The police going into the shacks now, but the community members themselves are throwing back rocks, Sally, towards the police as the police go in and trying to seek them out. That's the situation this very moment. As we're seeing the continuing firing of those rubber bullets, we're hearing time and again those stun grenades continuing to go off this very moment as the police go into the shacks, Sally, trying to seek out, I'm assuming, not sure if it's trying to seek out or to even just take them away from where we are, as one of these police vans has actually just been hit by one of those rocks, Sally. We are, of course, in the side of the police as all of this is continuing in terms of our safety and where we're situated, not within the community. As you understand, the majority of them are now situated inside the shack. Some of them even running on top of the roofs, Sally. I'm seeing two gentlemen running in those roofs, and police firing continuously as the onslaught continues. One person, it seems, has been apprehended, going to be arrested as those rocks still keep on coming, Sally. This is the situation that was trying to be avoided. But of course, it first went from the peaceful nature that it was in, and of course we saw the policemen as they hurriedly went into those police nyalas. It was evident at that stage already that we would see some sort of chaos and more stringent measures coming from the South African Police Service. They are firing those rubber bullets continuously, and we see now the backup of more police vans coming in as they try to calm the situation. 2 arrests, it looks like, have been made at this stage as we try to move with the police vans themselves and trying to keep up then with the police. It seems like there's some sort of fire burning even among the shacks there, where there's a lot of smoke coming through. Not sure what the cause of that particular fire is, but we're still moving on towards the police nyala as I see at least 4 police vans accompanying the police nyala. We're at the center of where it all started at this very moment, where the actual heat off started. That is tear gas. The fire we were seeing is tear gas.
Okay.
Which is creeping into our eyes.
Run. I will keep talking. Keep your shot if you can. Run. Protect your mouth. Don't talk to us until you're in an area of safety. We can see your shot, that you're walking past police vans, that there are police present. But I think, as you were saying, the police officer was essentially accusing the media of sensationalizing this issue. But let's just recap for those people who are joining us. The police minister earlier this afternoon saying we are sending a tactical response unit to Diepsloot, and this is in part an acknowledgement that promises have been broken to the community. There are terrible scenes of violence over the weekend, people going door to door and shooting dead people. So there is a real crime problem here. We've got a situation where
crime problem. I just want to actually listen in to these gentlemen as they talk to the police. The 3 that have been apprehended and arrested at this moment. Where's the gun? What's happening? What's the gun? Tear gas a bit strong, yes, Sadi, but in that point you were making, yes.
All right, you keep moving. I'll keep talking.
Quite some issues.
Yeah. So what, as you just move a little bit further away from that tear gas and hopefully to a safer spot, essentially the police are meant to be there to protect the community. Not quite sure why you deploy stun grenades, tear gas, and it seems rubber bullets for people who are blocking the road. One would imagine possibly there are easier ways, possibly something happened off camera that we didn't see to spark that sudden decision by the police. But it seems somewhat ironic to me, Aviwe, that the police, who are meant to be there to listen to the needs of the people who say that violence is out of control, are now firing at the gathered crowd. Do you have any idea why they decided to up the ante? Because, of course, that's when the rocks were thrown in return to the stun grenades, if I'm not mistaken in what I'm seeing, Aviwe.
Sally, anyway, you look at it, it's not quite clear why they take this route, because even if you're trying to alleviate traffic, what we're seeing now is actually causing more traffic in this route. So I'd expect them to at least let them move further down to an area where they can't block the traffic any longer, and then proceed to open up the road. So there's no real justification of the action that we're seeing from the police's side, except for even maybe justifying Nhlanhla Lux's words when I asked a bit earlier on the 30 TRT members that have been added on, and the police order, the public order policing, 20 more members that have been added on. Nhlanhla suggesting that that's not for the people on the ground, as if it was, it would actually do good in protecting those people. But now what we're seeing is that this heavy police contingency is actually acting against the people of Diepsloot. So maybe some justification to his words, Sally, but we can never really know why they then take the stance. If they're saying that their intention was to open up the road, we've got a situation now where they're being surrounded this very moment by the community. Yes, this stretch of road has a heavy traffic. They managed to clear it, but there's still cars that that aren't going anywhere, while the community members are surrounding them from every corner, Sally, right around from the fringes. And I see a further heavier community members gathering further down where we were initially. So it really boggles the mind, Sally, as to why they take this particular decision, especially after those discussions and the tensions in the ground. You know how Diepsloot was up in fire just last night. You know what's been happening throughout the day. So obviously those tensions are still simmering. Anger is still quite palpable in the ground. This act, I can assure you, Sally, will lead to those fires flaming up once more right throughout Diepsloot.
Yeah, absolutely. And Teddy is showing us from footage of that bridge where a lot of community members seem to have gathered. I wonder if you're able to just guide me here, because I'm not too sure. We know that the tactical response teams are arriving this evening. Am I correct that these are not them? That this is this is just general police?
Yes, Sally, you're correct in there. This is the South African Police Service, not the TRT unit, the Tactical Response Team, nor is it the Public Order Policing, because it's just the ordinary rank and file member of the South African Police Service, as you'd see those different badges and different markings if it was, for example, the Public Order Policing. But at this stage, we haven't seen them on the ground. We saw them earlier on when the police minister was meeting the delegation, but we haven't seen them active outside the police station, nor are we sure that have they been deployed already. As we heard, it's the TRT that we're expecting at this very moment. I'm going to ask my colleague Teddy Mnyambane just to even show you around in terms of how the community members are standing by and waiting for whatever might happen. At the moment, it seems to be a bit of cat and mouse that's starting to come down, but of course there's still rocks that are littered on the ground, and even some slops that have been left here by the community members as the police try to disperse the crowd. But the crowd themselves are waiting in the fringes, and as I mentioned a bit earlier on, expecting that Diepsloot would once more come up in flames through the course of the night.
Well, I mean, let's hope not, but it is a very worrying development that stun grenades have been deployed against the crowd this evening, the very crowd the police are meant to be protecting. I want to ask if you know of the whereabouts at this point, Aviwe, of Nhlanhla Lux, any community leaders, because this is when you need your community leaders to come in and speak to people and try and help calm tensions, and the police minister, is he still in the area?
Police minister was last seen headed towards the direction of where the family was killed. You can see some of the community members coming from work, running away from this chaos at this very moment, not wanting to be caught in the crossfire as they try to run away from the developments that we're seeing. Of course, community members still throwing those rocks from the side where the shacks are situated. We can even see them coming out. As I mentioned, it's a bit of a cat and mouse situation. But Nhlanhla Lux, the last time we saw him is when we were speaking to him around some 10 minutes ago, Sally, where in fact he was having that altercation with the supposed leadership of the Diepsloot community, not seeing eye to eye in terms of who should be rallying up the crowd or who should be giving direction. Remember, the community themselves are saying that they have genuine issues on the ground, Sally. They have faced 7 deaths this weekend. They have 14 of their own that are lying in hospital at this very moment. So these are genuine concerns, and they say that they do welcome the minister's intervention in terms of bringing in these 16 new vans, as they've previously had only 6 vans in the Diepsloot police station. They do welcome the interventions of the additional 30 tactical response team unit members coming in, as well as the 20 public order policing unit members coming in. But Nhlanhla Lux seems to suggest that that would be, of course, supposed to be working against them rather than for them. As we're seeing now, as I mentioned, which might be some sort of justification for what he was saying in terms of how the police then work against the community rather than for the community.
All right, so as you walk, I'm just going to greet any viewers who may be joining us at 6 o'clock on eNCA at this time. What you are seeing are live visuals from Diepsloot in Johannesburg. We have seen protests since last night. A little earlier this afternoon, the police minister and the police commissioner were in the area. The police minister promising the community that he is sending a tactical response team to Diepsloot from this evening to deal with the concerns around violence. 7 people killed over the weekend, 14 more in hospital, and it seems that criminality is running rampant. There have been in the past concerns about foreigners involved in criminality. There are concerns that this is a community that criminals have taken control in. Nhlanhla Lux, who of course is the head of Operation Dudula, was in the area giving a speech a little earlier. He's been challenged by local community leaders who are saying, we know the areas of concern in Diepsloot. We are handling this. We're communicating with the police. And Nhlanhla Lux, it seems, welcome by some people in the community, not so welcome by others who, of course, are trying to sort out the issue of criminality in Diepsloot and the fact that police have promised them many, many times to try and sort out problems. You may remember a few years ago, probably 5, 6 years ago now, 2 little girls raped and murdered in this area and their bodies dumped near some public toilets. An absolutely horrific and shocking crime. 2 years ago, my colleague Shahan Ramkasoon did a live broadcast from Diepsloot about xenophobic attacks. Of course, when people are angry and afraid, it's sometimes easy to pick on more vulnerable members within your community, and sadly that tends to be foreigners. So we've got a situation where there's real criminality issues, which I would imagine involves probably local people and or foreigners, or a bit of both. A community that feels left behind, a community that doesn't feel listened to. Some better news with the police minister arriving a little earlier and making some promises, but then the police deploying stun grenades and rubber bullets to disperse a crowd, which sets the community against the police and rather puts the promises made by the police minister in a poor light. Aviwe, we're looking at a young woman's leg. Is this an injury? Tell us more.
Certainly, it's an injury of a lady that's with the gentleman here, saying that they were merely walking on the fringes. As I said, that there's that cat and mouse that's been playing. In fact, I want to call in one of the community leaders here, Andrew Malaka. Andrew, seeing the chaos and commotion that we've seen here, and there's this young injured lady. I want to talk to just what you make of the police's reaction to the hundreds that we've been seeing in the street.
No, so far I think we've done with the minister. The minister, we've briefed him, and then we've agreed with whatever that we agreed with. Then he's willing to come and to what the community is asking for. But the problem now we have a Tangari, which is Ntantanene. He's here to confuse the Nhlanhla Lux. He's here to confuse the community on what we've agreed with the minister. Actually, she's here to make her unpopular on the community. But at the last, as the community, the leaders and the minister, we've agreed today there will be more deployment of police, there will be more cars that we've asked him today. Then from on Friday, that's why we're going to sit and take it from where we left today and then as a way forward, because now we're asking for temporary from today until Friday. Then on Friday we're meeting with the minister to take it from there, then we move as we agreed.
How is Nhlanhla Lux confusing the community?
Nhlanhla Lux is confusing the community because he's coming from Soweto. He had checked what the community was doing. I think you've seen it in one of on the news. Then he take that advantage to come here, and then I check what we've agreed with the community. So this is what I call him as an hijacker, because from yesterday he was not here, from today in the morning he was not here. He came today after he's seen on the news. Then he wanted to hijack to be a popular with this thing. For this thing is for community, it's not for anyone. So he hijacked what the people of Diepsloot fighting for. We're not fighting for anything besides the service delivery in Diepsloot.
Are you not taking his popularity with a pinch of salt as a leader, yes, given that he managed to take hundreds away from you, mobilize them?
No, he never took anyone, because we've done with the minister. So he took, after when the people were going back to their houses, that's when Nhlanhla Lux came and hijacked what we've agreed with the minister. Hence he said in one of, when he was addressing, said he's not going to listen any police, he's not going to listen any politician. That's what Nhlanhla said. So you can see the guy came with his motion to confuse the community.
It seems like there's a bit of confusion when it comes to your leadership as well, and in terms of moving forward, given that some of your leaders suggest that the protests will be continuing up until Friday when the minister is here. You, one of the leaders yourself, I want to get a sentiment in terms of what's the way forward in terms of what happens in Diepsloot.
The strike will continue as long as, if today we don't see more deployment of police and more deployment of cars. If we see those things as we agreed with the minister, the strike will be done by tomorrow.
Meaning what do you want to see in order for, and when do you want to see it by in order to determine what to do next?
We want to see the cars that he promised, which is 30 cars. We want to see the Amaperata today, during the night. He promised by today, in the next 3 hours, when we're with him in the meeting. So if we don't see those things, that's why our community doesn't stop. Why the community doesn't stop is because of Nhlanhla Lux came and hijack, and then he went to his popularity.
Okay, thank you very much. Andrew Malaka is one of the leaders here. I just want to quickly touch on with this lady and find out what happens this one.
Like my brother Nerivai, like as you see now, but we are about some side. It's a way more like a lotting via or be sharp. So like no move away whatever we are most bad day. Hakatamo how Petrobacarona like community strikes, whatever. So into the boranga fail. So like saying, yeah, it's fine. I want to be
Okay, these gentlemen say they'll see what they do, but they literally caught in the crossfire as he was walking with his partner, Sally, not even on the road, but on the fringes, on the other side there, on the outskirts, when he was met by this crossfire. But you can see the police actually managed to get their goal of opening up traffic in this road here, but you can see still heavily armed with those shotguns in hand, which we now know, of course, have those rubber bullets that we saw that lady there got hit by. Of course, there are those disputes between Nhlanhla Lux and the local community leadership of Diepsloot, as this is another leader that we've been speaking to, Sally, saying that Nhlanhla came here to mislead this community that agreed with the minister on a way forward, and there are suggestions that this leadership doesn't see eye to eye with Nhlanhla Lux. But of course, Nhlanhla, in his words, and as when we speak to him, he does suggest that he is at the behest of the leadership. He follows what the leadership here says, and in fact abides by it. But we do see him command a lot of respect and a lot of authority when it comes to the community members, because we saw hundreds, Sally, gather around this very spot as he was addressing them just minutes ago here.
All right, so Aviwe, it does seem from what we're seeing that that altercation and the firing of stun grenades did disperse the crowd. As you say, they achieved their goal. But what do you think the evening holds? Do you think that it's going to be calm now? Hearing the community leader speak, he basically said we'd reached an agreement. Extra police were going to come in to protect us, and Nhlanhla Lux is just creating problems and confusion. Talk to us about what you think is going to happen this evening.
So that would be a tricky one, but you'd have to judge, I'd say, by the numbers one commands, or what's going to happen. For example, is Nhlanhla Lux gone from this area? Is he going back to Soweto where he's originally from? Or is he keeping up to what he was saying when he was addressing those masses earlier on, saying that he's sleeping here, Kirobala more, meaning that I'll be spending the night here. He did, of course, say that the crowd must disperse, but he did say that after the police had left, there would be that term that he called a number. That we're not quite entirely sure in terms of what those suggestions might mean. But as I said, Sally, and even speaking to Andrew Malaka now, suggesting that they themselves, as the local community leaders, they're speaking in different verses and different tunes. Because earlier on in speaking to Nhlanhla, he mentioned that they'll be continuing these protests up until Friday, when the minister then returns with the delegation that he promised he'll return with, and then addresses these issues, and then a decision will be taken for how long these measures will be in place for. We're seeing one of the gentlemen, in fact, gearing up a rock. I'm not sure if it's going to be targeted towards the policeman. Maybe that your answer is in that rock that's just been thrown now towards the police, and suggesting that they're not about to let up. And you're seeing the police even starting to move towards this direction, looking where that rock came from. Maybe that's your answer, Sally, in terms of the cat and mouse that might be at play here at Diepsloot, given that they're not even any leaders now, but the community members themselves are on the fringes and waiting for a way forward.
Okay, Aviwe, you know, I think it's important that we keep an eye on these pictures. I wonder, because we've got Shahan and a team coming into the area. Shahan Ramkasoon is going to be giving us an update from another part of Diepsloot. We saw that interesting structure on the bridge behind you, which is now behind you. Could you just give us a sense of where you are and exactly where the police station is? We're just trying to understand where the areas and the pockets of activity may be.
Where I am, Sally, this moment is about 200 meters away from the police, right inside Diepsloot here. I want to actually try and catch up with some of these community members, but that's the distance. I'm far away from the police this moment, and I'm with the community members that are actually situated on the fringes here, waiting for a way forward. I'm actually going to try and speak to some of them to find out maybe what's in store. Sanibonani bafethu. Ngiyabona mos lokhu kwenzekalayo ndomkhulu angiyazi noba ngize kuwe nangibuze nicabangani ngale response yamaphoyisa lento yenzekayo.
Mina ngazuthi hayi man into ndibona ukuthi izoba into endaba izophila ibe right lena ngoba egcineni uyokhabatheka thina.
Yephi into zoba right ndokuthi kayinabise nje kakhe.
Into zoba right ukuthi to avoid lento sizihambele size endlini, but ngolo xesha ezobe iqhubeka ngayo into izoqhubeleka, but andigqibile imphakathi ukuthi makenze to avoid i-erosion.
Umphakathi ucingani, umphakathi ucabangani ngale response yamaphoyisa, and uyaphambili umphakathi ufuna ukwenzani mhlawumbe angiyazi noba ngubani ozofuna uluma nje lo bite up. Okay, community not
wanting le number bekakhuluma ngayo. Yena umnikazi we-Operation Dudula sicela sitshele ukuthi le number bekatuze ngayo sifuna sitshele yona. Ngeke sitshele nge-number sesidutshulwa fast so. Without warning. Unless say freeway khona manje asilali today. Asilali singabahlali beDiepsloot sizwane kahle. Siqala ngekho ramani lento. Hayi makufika yena kubele kuthathiwa amafoto ngathi uyicelebrate.
So this community member is saying that he wants answers from Nhlanhla Lux in terms of what this number actually means. He's saying that now there's Nhlanhla Lux here, there's a lot, the media glazes here, and in fact they started all of this without him. So he knows what kwenzeka ngoku.
Ngoku si freeway ngoku. Si freeway so vale N14.
Nyothini why nivala? Why
sivala kumele basanze izinto zethu sibatshela zona abasithathele ekhaya. Uzilo ubheka icele yini into ayenzile? Yini?
So they're saying that they have genuine concerns, Sally, on the ground that they want answering to. They weren't even about the number that they're speaking to. I want to touch on some more. Mntakwethu ufuna utyala?
Yeah, sihlele Diepsloot ne. Ena siphilanga kamnandi. Kwangoku ubeka icele. Iceba ukuphuma, yabona. Yafika nje akathethi fokona.
Excuse the language, ujonga indlela esetha ngayo namntakwethu. Kodwa ubheka icele ufikile wathi uzawuza namaphoyisa i50 ehlangene, iTRT, amaBeretta i30 nepublic order policing i20. Wathi uzaza nevene ezi16 la, iTRT ngena namhlanje, uthi uzophinda abuye ngolwesihlanu ahlangane nomphakathi. Nithini nina ngomphakathi xa nisizwe izinto or anivanga yonke lonto?
Cabanga from namhlanje until Friday kuzenzakalani impilo zethu. Asikho safe la ni Diepsloot vele. Asikho safe.
I want to give as many people chances to speak.
Because siyafala. Friday kushoniwe, Saturday kushoniwe, Sunday kufiwa kuphela. So yini into le kumele thina soba safe ngayo. Mawuphuma uthi uyamsebenzini uyafa.
So they're not quite clear what the minister had said. They're saying that they want to see these measures already on the ground, Sally. They're saying there was death on Friday, Saturday and Sunday in Diepsloot. Hence we're seeing the community members quite in up and arms. So they're promising that they'll continue with the strike action, Sally. But it seems like there's a lot of miscommunication and a bit of misinformation that they've been hearing recently, and they aren't clear on some of the measures that the minister said would take. But we just continue down the road, in trying to get some of the word from the community members, Yeah,
and Aviwe, it's very interesting, Aviwe, that a community member, and you know, after Nhlanhla Lux said, Google eNCA, I did exactly that, and there's nothing that I could find. So it seems that community member is also not clear on exactly what that's about. It's interesting, am I correct? And of course I don't understand everything that was said, but there seems to be a sense that Nhlanhla Lux's intervention is not welcome, and that these are people who have genuine fears and concerns about crime. They're absolutely fed up, and they feel neglected, and they want police action.
They certainly want police action, Sally. They're saying that they've had these issues for years on the ground. These issues have been recently heightened. You heard one of the gentlemen mentioning the number of murders that have occurred of recent. So they say they have genuine concerns as the Diepsloot community that they want attention to. They're grateful, even what you heard from Andrew Malaka, suggesting that they're grateful for the intervention, and they were dispersing peacefully before then Nhlanhla Lux came to the scene and rallied up the community members. So some of those community members that was listening there, Sally, saying that they aren't even aware of what this number actually means, the code that Nhlanhla used, and saying that the community must disperse, and then after the police have dispersed, the number will then take place. But it seems like there's no assurity of what this number means, but it seems quite much more peaceful now. Just a lot of people on the road and the streets, but it seems to be much more peaceful now.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is. Let's hope that it has dissipated, because the police say they have got a plan. The police minister says that tactical response unit is coming in. More police vans are coming in. And this is to protect the people who are completely fed up with crime, the people who want to see action, the people who want a sense that the police cares about the fact that crime has run rampant in that area. So, Aviwe, what I can tell you is that Shahan is gathering some information about the whereabouts of the police minister. We're trying to get an update on that particular situation. So we're hoping to get through to Shahan. In fact, Aviwe, I'm going to bring